It's the third Saturday in October, baby. Tennessee goes to Alabama. This is a top 20 matchup as Alabama's ranked number 11, Tennessee number 17. The third Saturday in October finally has some life again. Alabama has dominated the modern history of this series, ripping off 15 straight wins against the Vols between 2007 and 2015. 13 of those victories were decided by at least 2 scores. Tennessee made things a lot more interesting last year, downing Alabama 52-49 in an absolute thriller on a last-minute field goal. We saw the field rush after that. I think that's one that a lot of people will remember for a long time. Mm-hmm. I don't expect that many points in this season's installment by any means, as both offenses are nowhere near a shell version of what the offenses were last year. Tennessee's fresh off of a 20-13 win against Texas A&M, in which it only scored 1 offensive touchdown, and that was on the ground. Or they dominated on the ground, but really lacked in the passing game. Texas A&M scored, Alabama has exceeded the 30-point mark just once this entire year. We do see Jalen Milroe kind of developing a little bit. They're coming together and looking more like a complete offensive unit, but they are 107th overall in pressure rate allowed on the quarterback. So their offensive line is not like this beefy unit that Alabama teams are used to having. Their defense is also really, really solid, but again, it's not what Alabama is used to. This should be a fun one. Alabama's coming off hot with a 9-point favorite at home in T-Town, 8.5 on some books. So definitely a 2-possession spread right here. Seth, who do you like in this game and why?
I think you'll be happy to hear. I like Tennessee here. Kind of like you said, the big thing is the Alabama offense has not been crazy impressive to me this year. And Tennessee definitely took a step back from last year's team, but spreads like this, when they're 9-10, when they're kind of up in that range, and you haven't seen an offense that's fully convincing yet, I tend to side with the underdog and take the points. I don't think I could risk taking Bama with. I just don't see them winning by 10. I could see this being a low scoring, kind of like you said. I could see it being a 24-21 Alabama win. I think Alabama wins outright. Being at home, especially feeling that sting from last year, that Tennessee-Alabama game last year was easily one of the best games in college football. I think it has the implications to do that again, but I do think it will be more low scoring this go around. And I do think Bama wins outright by 3, but give me Tennessee +9.
That's good to hear. So, Seth, what he's getting at, if you haven't watched us before and you don't know who we are, I am in fact a double Tennessee grad. So my opinion, you can take it, you can throw it away if you want. I'm just letting you know in advance, I'm a little biased towards the Vols, so I won't really give like an official pick here. Obviously, I'm going to go with the Vols. I've already put my mortgage on it, so
nice.
We'll just leave that there. But I do want to dive into some of the numbers and make sure everybody is as informed as possible. I've mentioned it before. Joe Milton is struggling, or he is not doing well. It's almost like Josh Heupel does not trust him in this offense. However, on the flip side, one thing that is really, really positive for the Vols is the run game. They are leading the league and dominating teams on the ground. They are tied for 5th overall in the nation in rushing success rate in all of FBS. They are top 10 in FBS and rushing yards per attempt at 5.88. They are dominating teams left and right. So that bodes well for the Vols. Now, what doesn't bode well is Alabama. They aren't that great against the pass, but they're solid against the run. They're 9th overall in rushing success rate allowed on the defensive side of the ball. Again, their defensive unit is certainly solid, really good at success rate allowed. They limit the success on both the ground and the air. However, they do have a leaky secondary, and they're 107th in FBS in explosive plays allowed. So if Tennessee can connect on just 1 or 2 explosive plays, especially in the secondary, if Joe Milton can just connect on one of those deep balls, he missed 5 last week. So that's something that if he can clean up and hit 2, then Tennessee is looking a lot different as an offensive unit right here. So that's really the key to success. I think that Alabama will do a good job of, I don't think they'll contain the run game necessarily, but I think that they'll limit it more than teams have had the ability to this season for Tennessee. So if this game will hinge on if you think Joe Milton and the Tennessee Vols can get it done through the air, and if you think they absolutely can and will cover. Now, you turn to the flip side, Alabama and their offense struggled mightily at the beginning of the season, but they've slowly put it together. They're ninth overall in total power success. So again, they go big on big and they win up front. That's pretty much how it goes. They're not very explosive. We saw a couple deep balls hit by Jalen Milroe last week against Arkansas. That bumped up their success. They're top 15 right now in the nation in terms of passing explosiveness, I think because of those. Before they were not in the top 30. Middle of the road in terms of rushing success rate. And they do, again, we saw some explosive plays last week that really bumped up those metrics. They're 69th overall in the nation in overall offensive success rate. Again, middle of the road. You don't really know what to expect. The key here will be Tennessee, their defensive line, is dominating. If they can keep Jalen Milroe in the pocket, if they can force Jalen Milroe to try and beat Tennessee with his arm, I think Tennessee covers pretty handily. Now, the question is, can they do that? We'll see. But again, that's my take. I think that this really underrated defensive line for Tennessee is going to collapse the pocket as much as they can against Milroe, force him to try and throw the ball rather than scramble around and beat us with his legs, and we'll go from there. If he beats us with his arm, so be it. I think that's something that Tennessee is willing to accept if Jalen Milroe comes out and beats us with his arm. So that's the key to success here. But those are the numbers. That's the information. Again, that's that. Can't lay anything official. Should be a fun one, though. Should be a fun one.
All right, but what's your pick? Who you got?
Oh, I'm taking the Vols, man.
Okay, just making sure.
I think the Vols win. I think they win by 7. I think they're going to hit 17 deep balls. It's going to be awesome.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. It's either that's going to happen or we get beat by 30 and Jalen Milroe has 200 rushing yards on the ground. I swear.
Yeah.
I swear.
It'll be interesting.